The starship Elysium moved through the black sky like a quiet silver arrow. Outside its wide windows, stars looked like frozen lights scattered across a dark ocean. Inside the ship, everything was calm and soft. The floor of the first-class section was made of white glass. The walls glowed with a soft golden light. Seats were wide and soft like clouds. A sweet scent of fresh air filled the cabin. Everything here was expensive and perfect. Layla had never seen anything like it before. She stood at the entrance of the cabin, holding her small travel bag close to her chest. She was wearing a plain blue jacket, brown boots, and carried a data pad that looked too old for a ship this grand. She was not supposed to be here. Earlier that morning, she had rushed through Dock 19 at the station. She was supposed to board Elysium, but in the standard class where workers like her usually sat. But the space terminal was loud and crowded. 2 starships were leaving at the same time. She followed a group of people who looked confident. She had not checked the sign above the door carefully, and now she was here, in first class. She felt like a pebble in a room full of diamonds. A tall woman in a dark uniform walked toward her. "Welcome aboard," the woman said politely. Layla smiled nervously. The woman looked at the name on Layla's boarding chip. There was a small pause, but instead of saying anything, the woman nodded and guided her to a seat in the 3rd row. Layla quickly sat down before anyone could change their mind. Her hands trembled as she buckled the seatbelt. Around her, other passengers spoke in soft voices. A man in a gray suit read something on a holoscreen. A woman with silver hair sipped glowing blue tea. No one here looked like a cargo ship worker. No one here looked like her. She looked at the seat number again. A. She didn't understand how she got assigned here. Maybe the system made a mistake. Maybe she got lucky. She decided not to say anything. If no one noticed, she would just sit quietly and enjoy the ride. Then she felt it. A presence behind her. The seat behind her, 3B, was occupied by a man who did not move or speak. She didn't look at him at first. She kept her eyes on the window, pretending to be calm. But she could feel the weight of his silence. It wasn't just ordinary silence. It was sharp like a quiet storm behind her. Slowly, carefully, she turned her head a little. The man was tall, with black hair slicked back. He wore a dark coat with a silver pin on the collar. His eyes were calm but not soft. They were the kind of eyes that watched everything, the kind that made people lower their gaze. He was not reading a screen, not drinking tea, not talking to anyone. He was simply sitting there, like a shadow that had chosen a shape. Layla quickly looked away, pretending to adjust the strap on her bag. Her heart beat a little faster. Boarding announcement, a soft voice filled the cabin. "Good afternoon, passengers. This is Elysium Flight 7 bound for Helios Terminal. Please remain seated as we begin final boarding. We will depart in 10 minutes. Everyone relaxed into their seats. Layla did the same. She kept telling herself that no one would question her. She would just sit here, keep quiet, and leave when they arrived. But then, 2 security officers entered the cabin. They were not loud, but their presence made people glance up. They checked a list on a tablet and scanned faces with small blue lights. Layla swallowed. She was sure this was it. She was sure they would ask her to leave and go to her real seat in standard class. The officers moved down the aisle. They checked row 1, then row 2. They looked at their list again. Layla held her bag a little tighter, but when they reached her row, they did not stop. They passed her seat without even a second glance. Relief filled her chest like a warm wave. She smiled a little. Maybe she really could make it through this flight. She looked out the window again. The stars seemed closer now, but behind her the man finally spoke. His voice was low and calm. It was not loud, but every word carried weight. "Stay right here. Don't move." Layla froze. She didn't turn around. She wasn't sure he was even talking to her, but there was no one else nearby. "I'm sorry?" she whispered, not sure if she should answer. "You're fine," he said. "Just don't move." She didn't understand, but something in his tone made her obey without question. It wasn't a threat. It was something else. Something like command mixed with assurance. Strange and confusing, a quiet message. 2 minutes later, a woman dressed in silver sat down across the aisle. She had bright eyes and a soft smile. She glanced at Layla, then at the man behind her. The woman gave a short nod as if they knew each other. Layla watched quietly, pretending to scroll through her datapad. The man behind her whispered something so low she couldn't hear the words. The woman across the aisle touched her ear and gave a small, careful answer. Layla's heart beat faster. Something was happening. She didn't want to be part of it. She wished she could disappear into the seat. But at the same time, curiosity grew inside her. Who were they? Why did he tell her not to move? Lift off, the engines of Elysium hummed softly. The golden lights on the walls brightened as the ship detached from the station. Outside the window, the station slowly fell away, and the endless dark sky opened like a door. Passengers sighed softly, relaxing into their soft chairs. Layla had flown before, but only in noisy cargo ships where the seats were hard and the food was old. This felt different. The ship didn't shake. The air was cool and clean. A soft blue drink appeared on her tray automatically. She didn't even know how it got there. For a moment, she forgot about the man behind her. She felt like she was part of something bigger, richer. It was a strange, quiet joy. Then her datapad beeped. It was a system message she had never seen before. It said, "Unusual ID registered in first-class cabin, manual confirmation pending." Her hands turned cold. The system had noticed her mistake. She glanced around. No one else seemed to get the same message. She tried to clear it, but the pad froze for a second and then the screen went black. Just black. She stared at it. The black screen showed her own worried face. Then a new line appeared in white letters. "Stay where you are." The storm behind the calm Layla's breath caught in her throat. She looked around again. No one else reacted. The man behind her didn't move. But something told her. He knew. He leaned forward just a little. His voice was so soft that only she could hear. "Don't panic. This will pass." "What's happening?" she whispered. "Nothing that concerns you," he said. "But if you move, it might concern you, so stay." His tone was calm but serious. He didn't sound like someone joking. She thought about leaving, about walking to the back of the ship. But the way he said it made her stay frozen in place. She didn't know why she trusted him. Maybe it was the way he spoke, like someone who knew exactly what was going to happen. A few rows ahead, one of the security officers talked quietly into a communicator. His face had changed. He looked less calm now. The woman across the aisle adjusted a small silver ring on her finger. A light blinked once, then stopped. Layla didn't understand what it meant, but it felt like some kind of silent signal. Something hidden. Layla tried to distract herself. She reached for the small tablet embedded in the seat. She pressed a random button. A quiet click came from under her armrest. She frowned. She pressed again. This time, a small panel slid open, almost invisible before. Inside was a tiny black cube. It had no buttons, no lights, just smooth sides and a soft hum like something sleeping. Layla froze. This definitely didn't belong to a regular passenger. Before she could close the panel, the man behind her spoke again. "Don't touch that." His voice was soft, but this time there was no warmth in it. It wasn't a warning out of fear. It was more like a statement of fact, something she shouldn't question. She slowly pulled her hand away. "What is that?" she whispered. "Something better left where it is," he replied. "And right now, you are sitting on top of the most important seat on this ship." She didn't understand any of it, but her heart began to race. The first signal. Outside the window, a bright light flashed for a brief second. The ship didn't shake. The lights inside didn't change. No one else seemed to notice, but the man behind her did. "Right on time," he said softly. The woman across the aisle gave a small nod. Layla's datapad came back to life on its own. The words on the screen were short and cold. "Target confirmed. Inside cabin." She wasn't supposed to see this, but she had. And now she knew she was sitting in the wrong seat at the worst possible time. The lockdown, a quiet alarm rang through the cabin. It wasn't loud or frightening. It was a soft chime followed by an announcement. "Attention all passengers. We are experiencing a minor security check. Please remain seated. Cabin doors will be temporarily locked." The air around Layla grew heavy. She could feel the ship changing. Invisible locks clicked into place. A soft blue light filled the aisles. Everyone around her looked calm, but she could see the security officer now walking slowly toward her row. The man behind her leaned closer again. She could feel the calm in his voice. "Whatever happens," he said softly, "don't move." She didn't even breathe for a second. The officer's steps echoed on the clean floor. The woman across the aisle rested her hands on her lap. Layla didn't know what game she was part of now. But she was in it, and she couldn't get out. The officer stopped 2 seats away. He looked at a scanner, then at her, then back at the scanner. The cabin of Elysium was quiet. Too quiet. The soft chime of the security alert still echoed in the air. Blue lights filled the aisle, making every surface shine like calm water. Layla sat perfectly still in seat 3A, just like the man behind her had told her. The officer with the scanner was getting closer. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes moved carefully over every detail. Layla could feel her heart beating fast, but she didn't dare move even a finger. The officer stopped at her row. He looked at the small screen in his hand, then he looked at Layla. "Name?" he asked softly. Layla," she said. Her voice sounded small in the quiet cabin. The officer's eyes narrowed slightly. "Layla," he repeated, checking the screen again. "Standard class passenger, seat 18C. Layla felt the cold rush through her chest. This was it. She was sure they would ask her to leave. Everyone would look. She would become the girl who sat in the wrong seat. But before she could speak, a deep, calm voice came from behind her. "She's with me." The officer turned his head slightly. Victor Corin sat in seat 3B with the same quiet confidence as before. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't look nervous. It was as if everything was already under his control. The officer hesitated. "Sir, she is not on the—" "She's with me," Victor repeated softly but firmly. "Check the override file. You'll find it there." The officer tapped on his scanner. His face changed slightly as he read something on the screen. Whatever he saw made him straighten his back and nod. "My apologies, sir," he said quietly. He didn't look at Layla again. He walked away. Layla slowly turned her head, just a little. "How did you do that?" she whispered. Victor leaned forward slightly. His dark eyes met hers. "Some doors open for certain names," he said simply. "You're safer here." Layla didn't know what to say. She hadn't even known his name until now. But the way the officer reacted told her everything. Victor was not just any passenger. He was someone people listened to, someone powerful. She took a slow breath. Her hands were cold, but her mind was awake. Something was happening on this ship, and she was in the middle of it. The invisible target outside the window, the stars had changed. The Elysium had entered a jump corridor, a smooth stream of blue and white light. No one could leave the ship until it exited the corridor. For the next 2 hours, everyone inside was locked together. Layla looked down at the small black cube hidden under her armrest. She still didn't understand what it was. It was silent, but she could feel a faint hum like it was alive in some quiet way. She glanced at Victor. He was calm, but his eyes moved from the officer to the woman across the aisle. Layla noticed. Now the silver ring on the woman's hand blinked once every few minutes. It wasn't just jewelry. It was a signal. "Why me?" Layla whispered. "Why this seat?" Victor didn't answer right away. He leaned forward, resting his hands on his knees. "Sometimes," he said slowly, "the best hiding place is in plain sight. They're looking for someone like me, not someone like you." Layla frowned. "Hiding place?" "Yes," Victor said softly. "That cube under your armrest is not a toy. It's a key." "A key?" He gave a small nod. "A quantum key. It can open defense systems on entire planets. Many people want it, but it can only be carried inside first class, security rules. So I put it under your seat. No one expects it to be with someone like you." Layla's eyes widened. "So, I'm sitting on the most wanted thing on this ship." Victor's lips curved into a small smile. "Exactly." Layla pressed her back against the seat. She didn't feel lucky anymore. She felt like a small piece on a giant game board she didn't understand. The calm before the storm time passed slowly. Flight attendants walked through the cabin with soft smiles, serving drinks and snacks. No one else seemed to know what was happening. The other passengers relaxed, reading or watching hollow screens. But Layla could feel something under the surface, something quiet, something waiting. The woman across the aisle stood up slowly, pretending to stretch. Her eyes scanned the cabin, then landed on Layla's seat. Victor's eyes followed her every move. "Stay calm," he whispered. Layla tried. She held her hands together tightly. The woman leaned close to a man 2 rows ahead and whispered something. The man nodded. Layla noticed 3 more people in the cabin look up at the same time. It was like watching pieces of a puzzle slide together. Victor adjusted the collar of his coat. His voice was soft, almost casual. "They're here," he said, "and they know." Layla's heart jumped. "Know what?" "That the key is somewhere near this seat." The hidden power Victor pulled a small metal disc from his pocket. He placed it quietly on the small table between their seats. It lit up with a soft green glow. "What's that?" Layla whispered. "A safety net," Victor said. "If things get complicated, this will help us talk to the ship." "To the ship?" she asked. He nodded. "The AI listens. It doesn't choose sides. But if I give it the right code, it will protect the passenger who holds the seat with the key." Layla didn't know what to say. She never thought she would be part of something so big. She was just a technician from a cargo station. But here she was, sitting in the middle of a quiet battle without any noise. The green light blinked softly, like a heartbeat. The first move. Suddenly, the lights in the cabin flickered. Not for long, just for a second. Most passengers didn't even notice. But Victor did. So did the woman with the silver ring. Layla saw it clearly now. A tiny spark flashed under the woman's seat. It was some kind of device. "She's trying to block the signal," Victor said softly. "But she's not fast enough." "What do we do?" Layla whispered. He leaned closer, his voice calm. "We let her think she's winning." Layla didn't understand how someone could stay so calm, but she trusted him now, in a strange way. He didn't talk like someone who panicked. He talked like someone who always had a plan. A light in the sky, the ship shook gently, like a wave passing under it. The captain's voice came through the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjusting course slightly. Nothing to worry about." But Victor's eyes narrowed. "They're trying to make the ship stop before the scheduled time," he said. "That means they have people in the control section too." Layla's hands turned cold. "Can they do that?" "If they control the signal," Victor said. "Yes, but not for long." He pressed his fingers against the green disc. A soft sound filled the cabin like a breath of air. Layla felt the floor beneath her vibrate just a little. The AI speaks a calm, soft voice filled Layla's head. It wasn't coming from the speakers. It was inside the seat or maybe inside the ship itself. "Passenger 3A," the voice said gently. "You are currently seated in a protected zone. Please remain calm." Layla looked at Victor in shock. "Is that the ship?" He nodded. "Yes, and now it knows you." "Passenger 3A," the AI continued. "You hold priority access. Do you accept responsibility for security protocol?" Layla hesitated. She didn't even understand what that meant. But Victor gave her a small nod. "Yes," she whispered. "Confirmed. Security link established." The black cube under her armrest blinked softly for the first time. A soft blue light ran across its surface. Layla felt a strange warmth around her seat, like the ship itself had wrapped her in a shield. The unexpected. Hero. The woman across the aisle took a step forward. Her voice was smooth. "Miss," she said softly, "you're sitting in the wrong place. That seat belongs to me." Layla shook her head slowly. "No," she said quietly, "it doesn't." The woman's smile faded a little. She looked at Victor, then at the blinking light. She understood. Layla was no longer just a bystander. Victor's voice was quiet, almost kind. "Too late," he said. "She's already part of it." The woman gave a small signal with her hand. The 3 other people in the cabin moved at the same time. But before anything else could happen, the ship's lights turned bright white. "Attention," the AI said. "Security override active. Protective barrier engaged." A soft shimmer appeared around Layla's seat. It was invisible at first, then visible, a thin blue field like glass. The others stopped immediately. They couldn't get close. Victor leaned back in his seat with calm eyes. "And that," he whispered to Layla, "is why I told you not to move." The endgame minutes felt long. The AI controlled the cabin now. No one could leave. No one could approach Layla's seat. The officers returned, this time with calm but firm faces. They spoke softly to the suspicious passengers, asking them to step aside. The woman with the silver ring finally lowered her head. She had lost. Layla sat very still. The blue shield around her pulsed gently like calm water. She didn't feel scared anymore. She felt strong, not because she was powerful, but because she held something important, something others had failed to get. Victor glanced at her. "You did well," he said softly. "I didn't do anything," Layla replied. "You sat," Victor said with a small smile. "Sometimes that's enough." Safe landing. 2 hours later, the jump corridor opened like a door. The ship moved smoothly into the orbit of Helios Terminal. The bright light of the station filled the windows. The passengers began to stand. The officers quietly took the suspicious group away. No noise, no panic, just quiet control. The blue shield around Layla's seat faded. She let out a breath she didn't know she had been holding. Her legs felt weak, but her heart felt stronger. Victor stood up slowly. "This is where we say goodbye," he said. Layla looked at him. "Will I ever understand what happened?" He gave a soft smile. "One day. But for now, just know you did something big."